Let me ask you something. Could you really survive the Ice Age? We're talking no fire, no clothes, no house to run to, and definitely no electricity. Just picture it. You step outside and the air literally burns your lungs. Blizzards rage for months on end, and giant predators are roaming the frozen plains. This wasn't a movie scene. This was just daily life for our ancestors. 15,000 years ago, the world was basically a prison of ice. Massive glaciers swallowed entire continents, burying mountains and valleys. The temperatures dropped to levels we can't even imagine today. And this wasn't just some freak storm. It was reality for tens of thousands of years. And yet somehow, against all odds, humans didn't just survive out there. They thrived. Think about that for a second. No modern tech, no heaters, no down jackets, no grocery stores packed with food, nothing. Just raw, unforgiving nature. If I dropped you into that world right now, you probably wouldn't make it through a single night. But these regular men, women, and children did more than just endure it. They raised families, they made art, and they hunted creatures the size of a bus. So how'd they pull it off? How did fragile humans, with our bare skin and relatively weak bodies, manage to survive in a world that should have wiped them out in an instant? Well, that's exactly what we're going to break down in this video. From mastering fire to using fur, from clever shelters to the powerful social bonds they formed, we're taking a journey back to the Stone Age to uncover the survival secrets that let our ancestors conquer the cold. And by the end, you might just realize that the very things that saved them are the same things that still shape who we are today. Man, when the Ice Age first hit, you'd think the biggest problem would be, like, giant saber-toothed tigers, or not finding enough berries, right? Nah, the real enemy? It was the cold. Seriously, those winds would just rip the heat right out of your bones in a heartbeat. Hypothermia wasn't some rare thing you heard about. It was basically your shadow, following you every single day. Let's be real, us humans, we're kind of flimsy compared to, say, a woolly mammoth or a grizzly bear. We don't have that built-in fur coat. Our skin's out there. We bleed warmth like crazy. And it's not like we can just curl up in a snowdrift and wake up fine like a wolf or a reindeer. For our Ice Age ancestors, finding warmth wasn't just on the to-do list. It was the to-do list. Like life or death. No joke. So, how'd they even manage to push back against that kind of brutal cold? First up, shelter. Everywhere archaeologists dig, they find proof our ancestors used whatever Mother Nature threw at them. Caves were like these perfect safe zones, natural fortresses against those biting winds. But hey, caves aren't exactly on every corner, right? So humans got smart. They started building, stacking stones into these round walls, throwing wood and branches over them, even using massive mammoth bones for support. Then they'd stretch animal hides over those frames to keep the snow and wind out. These first little homes, they were the difference between literally freezing to death and actually making it to see another day. But, you know, just a roof over your head isn't going to cut it when it's 30 below. Inside those walls, fire wasn't just nice, it was absolutely essential. Without a blaze, even the coziest little hut was just a fancy icebox. So humans became masters of fire. They'd carry glowing embers, guard their flames like gold, and passed down the whole how to make fire thing for generations. That skill was pure survival. Still, every single night was a total gamble. Just imagine, you're lying there in a little fur-lined shelter, the wind's just howling outside, and your only real warmth is a sputtering fire, and your family all huddled up tight. That was the raw, brutal truth of Ice Age living. And somehow, against all those insane odds, they made it work. The cold might have been relentless, but humans, we had something even tougher: adaptability. Instead of just running away from the deep freeze, they figured out how to outsmart it. Okay, so if there was one thing that really, truly pulled us humans out of the deep freeze, it was definitely fire. I mean, seriously, without fire, no survival, period. But once we got it, suddenly stuff that seemed totally impossible became, well, possible. Archaeologists have actually dug up proof that we were messing with fire nearly 400,000 years ago. That's way, way before the Ice Age was even at its coldest. You go to these old sites where Homo erectus and Neanderthals used to hang out, and you'll find these dark, sooty hearths, bones that got all burnt up, and layers of ash. These weren't just random bonfires started by lightning strikes either. Nope, these fire pits were meticulously kept up, rebuilt again and again. Clear evidence that our ancestors figured out how to control those flames. But here's the kicker: fire was way more than just warmth. It was like the ultimate multi-tool for survival. That glow from a fire, it kept predators at bay. Think wolves, cave lions, hyenas. They'd definitely think twice before strolling into a brightly lit camp. Fire also meant we could cook food, which is huge. It unlocked so many more calories from meat and plants. Trying to gnaw on a raw mammoth steak? Good luck. But cook that bad boy, and suddenly you're getting way more energy, and it's a lot easier to digest. All that extra nutrition, it fed bigger brains, powering up the intelligence that made us way more adaptable than any other creature out there. And let's not even forget the whole social vibe around a fire. Just picture it, a pitch-black Ice Age night. Outside, the wind's just screaming. Inside a cave, the whole tribe is huddled up around this crackling fire. Stories are being told, wisdom is being passed down, and those community bonds, they just got stronger and stronger. Fire wasn't just about making it through the night, it was the very heart of human culture. Now, fire wasn't invincible though. One bad storm, one dumb mistake, and poof, those flames could die out. That's why early humans often carried glowing embers with them when they moved camp, literally keeping their most precious tool alive. Fire wasn't just something they invented, it was like a companion. Honestly, getting control of fire, that was humanity's first huge win against nature. With it, the Ice Age cold wasn't this unbeatable monster anymore. It was just another challenge we were going to figure out how to beat. So, if fire was like our first big weapon against the Ice Age, then clothing was totally our armor. Without it, there's just no way we survived those crazy sub-zero temps. At first, the stuff they wore was pretty basic, right? Just animal hides they'd strip off and wrap around themselves. Maybe tie them on with some plant fibers or tough animal sinew. But over time, humans got way better at it. They didn't just wear hides, they started to tailor them. Archaeologists have actually found these bone needles that are over 30,000 years old. Can you even imagine the skill it must have taken to punch through tough leather with a sharpened bone and then thread it with a piece of sinew? But they did it. With those tools, Ice Age humans stitched together tunics, leggings, boots, and even hoods. And the materials they used were seriously smart. Fur from mammoths, bison, and reindeer kept out the wind. They'd even rub animal fat onto the hides to make them water-resistant, which was huge against the snow and ice. In the absolute coldest places, they used layers of clothing, which is exactly what we do today with our parkas and thermal gear. But it wasn't just about staying warm. Clothing also became this huge deal for identity and status. Some of the burials from the Paleolithic era show people dressed in these really well-made garments, and they're decorated with beads, shells, or even teeth. That tells us clothing wasn't just for protection. It was also a way to show who you were in the tribe. So, let's toss out that old image of our ancestors as these half-naked cave people. They were actually super innovative tailors, creating these practical and sometimes even stylish ways to survive. Every single stitch of sinew, every fur-lined coat was the difference between living and not. In the end, clothing was way more than just fabric and fur. It was a technology, one of the first things we invented with our own hands. And just like fire, it gave us total mastery over the cold. Wrapped in the very skins of the animals they hunted, Ice Age humans turned a huge weakness into their greatest strength. So, making it through the Ice Age wasn't just about trying to stay warm. It was just as much, if not more, about staying fed. In a world that was basically frozen solid, food was super scarce, and every single calorie meant life or death. Without a constant flow of nourishment, even the warmest fire or the thickest fur coat wasn't going to keep you going. So what exactly did these folks eat? Mostly, it was meat and fat. Plants were pretty rare and hard to come by in that kind of cold, so humans really leaned into hunting animals. They went after mammoths, woolly rhinos, bison, reindeer, and wild horses. Now these hunts, they were seriously dangerous, but the reward was absolutely massive. Just one mammoth could feed a whole tribe for weeks, give them hides for clothes, and even bones for tools and shelters. Talk about getting your money's worth. But catching these giant beasts wasn't just about brute force. It took serious strategy. Humans relied on teamwork and these incredibly clever traps. Some groups would actually drive animals right toward cliffs, forcing them to fall. Others would dig these massive pits in the frozen ground, covering them up with branches until some unsuspecting animal stumbled right in. And spears, tipped with sharp stone points, thrown all at once, they must have looked like a deadly rainstorm. And when fresh meat was hard to find, humans got super resourceful. They'd crack open bones to get at the rich marrow inside, which was one of the most calorie-dense foods you could get your hands on. They even scraped hides clean for fat and just ate it straight up. Seriously, absolutely nothing went to waste. Hunting was also way more than just about food. It was a whole ritual. We've found evidence that hunting scenes were painted on cave walls, maybe to psych themselves up, give them courage, or maybe even to honor the spirits of the animals. Every successful hunt wasn't just a meal. It was like a victory over death itself. Bottom line, it wasn't just strength that kept humanity fed during the Ice Age. It was way more about cooperation, patience, and pure creativity. With every single hunt, humans proved that they could bend even the most brutal environment to their will. All right, so here's the thing. Making it through the Ice Age wasn't just about having cool tools, fire, or even warm clothes. Nope. It was all about community. Think about it. All by yourself, a human probably didn't stand much of a chance against that insane cold and all those terrifying predators. But together, tribes became way stronger than even the harshest winter could throw at them. Inside these groups, everybody had a job. Hunters went out and tracked down game. Gatherers looked for whatever roots and berries they could find. And the elders? They were the real MVPs, passing down crucial knowledge through stories and rituals. Around that flickering fire, skills were taught: how to perfectly shape a spearhead, how to properly tan a hide, how to spot the tracks of prey. This constant flow of knowledge, that was actually humanity's biggest weapon. And it wasn't just about survival either. we've found archaeological sites that show Ice Age humans were creating art. Places like the caves of Lascaux and Chauvet have these breathtaking images of animals, bison, horses, mammoths, etched and painted with incredible detail. These weren't just doodles for fun either. They might have been part of rituals, like prayers for good hunts, or maybe ways to really bind the tribe together through shared beliefs. Even their burials tell us a lot about these deep connections. Some Ice Age graves show bodies covered with beads, tools, or animal bones, which totally suggests respect and even a sense of spirituality. Burying the dead with that kind of care means humans were thinking way beyond just staying alive. They were thinking about meaning, identity, and leaving something behind. These bonds gave humans something no predator or freezing wind could ever break: hope. A tribe that danced together, painted together, and told stories together was always going to be stronger than one that just lived in silence. Rituals gave them courage, art gave them memories, and community, that gave them pure, unbreakable resilience. So when you boil it down, it wasn't just fire or fur that got humans through the Ice Age. It was that invisible thread of connection, that deep understanding that survival was never just an individual thing, but always a collective triumph. So today, when we look back at the Ice Age, it really hits you just how incredibly fragile survival truly was back then. Our ancestors didn't have electricity, no comfy houses, zero modern tech. And yet, with just fire, some clothes, basic tools, and most importantly, each other, they actually made it through one of the most brutal climates Earth has ever dished out. It's easy to totally forget how close humanity came to just disappearing. Every single storm, every hunt that failed, every single freezing night could have been the absolute end. But instead, humans adapted. They turned animal bones into homes, animal hides into clothes, and tiny sparks into roaring fires. They painted their dreams right there on cave walls. They buried their dead with genuine care. And they told stories that carried crucial knowledge through generations. The Ice Age was way more than just a fight against the cold. It was like this giant crucible that really forged what it means to be human. Cooperation, imagination, and pure resilience weren't just smart survival strategies. They were the fundamental bedrock of our entire species. Without those things, seriously, we wouldn't even be here today. So, it makes you wonder, could you survive the Ice Age? Cold? Without all our modern gadgets, no heaters, no tech. Just imagine stepping into that world for even one single night. Would you make it through, or would you just end up collapsing in the snow like so many did before? That's the incredible power of our history right there. It reminds us of this deep strength buried inside all of us. The very same strength that kept our ancestors alive through the darkest days of the Ice Age. All right, thanks so much for coming along with me on this journey. Now, I really want to hear from you in the comments. Do you think you would have survived the Ice Age? What part of our ancestors' survival story blew your mind the most? Go ahead and drop your answers down below. And hey, don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more stories about prehistoric humans, how they survived the Stone Age, and all kinds of ancient history. Together, let's keep digging into the past so we can really understand who we are.